We're proud to present the first major museum exhibition of Ken Price's work in New York City. It's long overdue. To view Price's intimately scaled work as they evolved over a career of more than 50 years is to appreciate how his unrelenting quest for new forms and possibilities led ultimately to a redefinition of contemporary sculpture. This exhibition was organized by Los Angeles County Museum of Art, where it was first on view. Michael Govan, LACMA's director, and Stephanie Barron, their senior curator and department head of modern art, are with us this morning. But first, I'd like to introduce a special guest, a master architect, a good friend of Ken Price since the 1960s, and the designer of this retrospective exhibition, Frank Gehry.
So this says I met him in the 60s. I actually met him in the 50s. I was studying ceramics in the late 40s at USC, and then got into architecture because the ceramic teacher said I wasn't going to make it in ceramics. He called me, asked if I would help him do the installations. He was sick already, having trouble, and what a great honor for me. I spent a lot of time on it. We built models of the three venues, LA, Dallas, and here. And so he saw all of the models and was left alone with the models because I couldn't stay in New Mexico in Taos that long. And he was able to participate in the design. So the ideas of these structures came from his little cases that he made for some of the small pieces. He was messing around with big stuff, and I think he was on a trajectory to becoming an architect. I know he had these ideas of larger and larger, and he was getting there. And the frustration for me was watching him struggle with it because he ran out of gas. He couldn't do it, and so we got this far, and there's a bunch of others, and you can see the beginnings of what would have been and what might have been. I watched many shows in this space, so I knew the space. And I didn't like any of the shows. But you
like this one?
I like it. We might have helped you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Our great architect of form has devoted all of this energy, and we're so thrilled to have Ken Price in New York City. Sporadically, one has been able to see Ken Price through the years in New York. He hasn't been absent, but he has never been present in this particular way, and it's really high time. And this artist, you know, in addition to being this amazing inventor of form, he was a great painter. He used lacquer, he used oil, he used acrylic, he used sanding, all of these marvelous techniques, and he was also a master draftsman. And so we're thrilled that this exhibition will be accompanied by another exhibition, a drawings retrospective at the Drawing Center in Soho that also opens tomorrow. I think Price started drawing about the time that most children start speaking, and he said that he drew every day, and he said a sculptor has to draw.
And we're here with the curator, Stephanie Barron, senior curator of modern and contemporary art at LACMA. And you were talking to me a bit about this sculpture and how it was created, the whole process that went into it. Can you tell us a little about that?
What I was saying is that after the 1980s, Price stopped glazing the works. They're actually created as forms out of his kiln. They're fired, and then he begins a painting process. I like to think that he's almost like a painter painting sculptural forms after that. It starts with a layer of black, and each color is applied probably a half a dozen times, and there may be 10 or 15 different colors. And clearly the last color here was this kind of orange. And then there's a process of sanding it down using wet sandpaper and Q-tips, and then to reveal the colors on the inside. So sometimes people think it's an additive process, but in fact it actually reveals the colors in an astonishing way. So there's this beautiful blending of color and form. I think it's really beautiful.
And how did he create the form itself? What was the process of creating
form
this?
is just, I mean, there's some pictures in the catalog that he starts with clay, he works it by hand, and then fires it in his kiln.
Mm-hmm. And this is a very special installation. You said it drove the Met a little bit crazy in some ways.
No, what I said that what was important to Ken Price was that the works, as you can see, not be under plexiglass vitrines, and that's a challenge for all museums.
Yes.
But we really respected the artist's wishes and collaborated with Frank Gehry to create a really beautiful and safe installation for these sculptures.
Yes.
We worked for 3 years on the design of the exhibition in Los Angeles, at the Nasher, and at the Met. Frank, we flew models, large-scale models, down to Taos so that Frank and Ken and I could work on the layout. So he was involved with all of the different venues and what it would look like.
But unfortunately, no.
But he passed away 6 months before the exhibition opened in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So this is posthumous honor to him, but very much something that he was hands-on and involved with, and it was followed according to his wishes.
And also the other thing is that the show is installed in reverse chronological order, and it's also how we laid out the catalog. We started with the most recent work, which is clearly sculpture.
Yes.
And I think one of the challenges always has been how to think about this work not as craft, not as a ceramic, exhibition, but we clearly start with works that are uncategorical, without question, sculpture, and then work our way backwards to the very early work of the late 50s.
One other question: how will your department fare in the new LACMA if and when that finally does happen, the new design?
I think, right now we don't have a plan. We have an idea. We have sketches. It's a long way from specificity.
Okay. Thanks very much, Stephanie.